Hey, old man, give me everything.
Call an ambulance! Call an ambulance! But not for me!
And with that, I welcome you to this ape review. And yes, Harambe do be kind of fun. From the new tier 11s which we just gotten, the gorilla definitely is the most fun tank I've played. And it also showcases in my stats, which we'll see a little bit later. Because the main thing the gorilla does insanely well is it just fits the meta. Because right now the meta is peek a corner, do massive damage, go back, hide and reload. That is what the meta is doing. And the gorilla not only takes that corner straight out with the highest alpha on tier 11 with 800, tied with the Hirschkäfer, but whatever, and it has 385mm of APCR pen, which is arguably better than what was it, around 400 or 395mm of heat pen of the PTZ. And it also has heat screens, which makes it really durable against most guns which are shooting gold ammunition on tier 11. So this results in the gorilla to have an incredible low skill floor, but in my opinion actually pretty decently high skill ceiling. Because let's be honest, everybody can just camp in the back of the map and herder, I'm a triangle Andy, I am clicking, click, click, click. That works. That's why we see so many DBVs. Thanks for gaming. The point is though, while your average triangle Andy will just camp in the back of the base and be useless with the gorilla, well, not useless, but not as useful as he could be, how should we say, a Chad ape. He knows how to peek corners, trade with heavies, and trade 400 or 500 damage for 800 or maybe nothing at all. And the fact that you have such good pen really sells it. So I'm constantly talking about these 800mm of pen. However, you also know that the gorilla tends to not have 800mm, 800 alpha. It tends to have 400 alpha sometimes. So how is this working? I have a clip for you, and after that clip we will probably go very quickly to the other clips because I have quite a few which show perfectly how the gorilla behaves. So the gun has basically 3 stages, of 2 of which are important. The first one is your 800 alpha stage. You can see right now, bang, 800 alpha, massive sound. Now we have 2 numbers right up here which are starting to load. The red one, which is your first reload, and in the first reload, after that you're able to do 400 damage with reduced pen and reduced accuracy. And that is why we, for example, bounced on the upper plate and we needed our friendly Taschenratte to help us kill this guy. Maybe I should have gone for the Gunmantler, but I don't think I have enough pen, not entirely sure. Now, as you can see, the Taschenratte just fired and I'm like, you know what, I take that shot, was a little bit lucky, and now we only do 400 damage. I would need to wait for the second number, which is loading as soon as the first number is finished loading, to fully load. Then we put on a condom. If you see what this tank is doing, you might know what I'm meaning. And we sadly couldn't showcase it in this clip, so let's move over to another one. Once again, we are in the 800 alpha mode, which is fantastic. So I'm like, okay, you know what, screw you, we trade. Rather poorly actually because of RNG, but it is what it is. And now we are once again reloading our 400 damage shot, and it is loaded right now. I'm taking a snap and hey, you know what, 637 spot damage, we can take that. However, now I'm still reloading, and please take a gander. Now we go into the third stage. 2 seconds before you get 800 alpha, the gun doesn't allow you to shoot, because until then you can still shoot for 400 damage. This tank only knows 400 or 800 damage. Now we are fully loaded, we have the 800 damage shot, and that is why the 277 receives almost 900 damage. Yeah, we're gaming, that is fun. So, I think it is time we go quickly over to the clips, because they are very interesting. Starting off with this one right here, we are in a little bit of a pickle, and we are able to trade with the Imbattable a nice fancy thick shot, and this is what I mean with talking about high skill floor and slow skill ceiling. You know, right now I just shot, I already had a couple of seconds in my reload, and if you shoot on reload, on this 400 damage reload, you have better DPM than the E4, and you have better DPM than if you just wait for 800 alpha. But again, you have less pen, you have less accuracy. And in many situations I was not shooting straight on reload, but I was shooting, for example, right now here, look, I'm loading, and then I take the shot. In hindsight, yeah, it was okay, because the Stritzwagen would have gotten more damage if I didn't, but you get the point. Now, once again, we are getting close to the 2 seconds cutoff time, which was right here, and I'm trying to get a shot in, but it sadly misses. So, it is what it is. And now we can basically just wait. And yes, I made a little misclick, and that's why you see 2 Raptor faces right here. This is the real one. This one right here is the fake imposter, which is streaming. And once again, we reloaded a little bit too long, and the other gorilla got the kill. By the way, if you wish, you can watch me live stream on www.twitch.tv/RagingRaptor. I usually stream in English. You gotta follow them because my schedule is a little bit wacky, although it tends to be on Saturday, Sunday morning, Central European summertime. Yeah, in any case, we got the Shakal with our quick reload. We got the SDK now with the quick reload because, hey, we can continuously peak. We have 2,400 hit points because why not, right? With hardening and so on. And now we can just peek him and we are still on the reload. But hey, you know what? That's what I meant. You can shoot at the late stages possible and still do 400 damage. It gives it a little bit of a skill ceiling you need to get. But once again, perfect demonstration. That is what makes this tank so insanely powerful. Oh, you want to go into the position? Well, listen, buddy boy, I'm still fairly fast. Oh, I still do 800 damage. Oh, you will bounce on me, or you will have a 50-50% chance of bouncing on me. Obviously, I do not really want to trade against the PTZ because it has 400mm of heat pen, but an unspotted E100, well, he bounces on our cope cages, which is pretty darn nifty. I'm still trying to get the PTZ to shoot. He doesn't, so because he did shoot right now onto the Raptor because the tank is bad, especially if the enemies are above you. We can now just wait the corner and see what the AMX M4 is doing. But once again, yeah, look at that. 2 shots, 1,700 damage. It is that easy. And yes, that shot did bounce because it's the same game. You can see I'm still at full HP. Because nothing really peaked anymore, I decided to take a second shot or some other position, which is over here. And it also showcases very well what, again, this tank is just good at. You hold a corner and you do 800 damage. I also see a gorilla over there, and I'm like, could we do something with that? Maybe, baby. But then there is a T-57 Heavy which is getting spotted, and bada bam, bada boom, a solid 790 damage shot. And now, yeah, I am going to try and peek him because I know he has 8 heat, meaning he probably might bounce. We hit it, and we take it. That's another 400 damage, and surely, why not? But now with the enemy gorilla peeking, I'm like, okay, you know what? I think we now need to wait, and the E100 is also wanting to peek. Once again, now we have to wait the 2 seconds, and now we are fully loaded. The condom is on, and we do 800 damage. And the gorilla decides to peek, so we give him a nice juicy shot into his road wheel. And sadly, he didn't got killed. But hey, it is what it is. So yeah, this is how you more or less play the gorilla. You all just try to trade 800 damage for whatever the enemy is doing. And this is, the clip you already saw, the perfect gorilla example. We do 850 damage on the BZ-79. I don't see a point in just continuously trying to peek him because, hey, he has 770 alpha, I have 800, so excuse me, 750 I think. So we don't need to peek all the time. Sorry, it's 700. Math is hard today. So we just fully reload the 800 damage shot and bang. And suddenly there is a Shakal behind us. So we turn around. Sure, he does 1 shot of damage, but he's already 1 hit for us, so bloop. We go on DPM mode, basically. And look at that, the BZ-79, he is also on 1 hit. So we just peek, bloop. Second kill, very, very quickly. Surely, why not? Let's turn around, and while we are turning around for the AMX M4, we do have actually time to fully load our juicy 155mm gun with a condom. And the AMX M4 didn't pay attention. I was driving around and bonk, 830 damage. Oh, he's a 1-shot. Oh, that is fantastic. We don't need to wait the long time, so we can just peek into his lower plate and get the 400 damage shot in. Big drawback, the 400 alpha damage costs the same as the 800 alpha damage when it comes to ammunition cost. So keep that in mind, you will be throwing away loads of credits if you continue doing that. Once again, we are now in the best accuracy mode. You will see that in just a second how that actually looks like. And bang, 845 on the Ashigaru. Pretty darn nifty, innit, bruv? So now we can go into DPM mode and miss him. That's unfortunate. But because we have better DPM than the E4, with the DPM mode we can do another shot and we kill the Ashigaru. Isn't that nice? I would say that is pretty nice. Moving around, there are a few more people which we can click at. One of which being the object 432U. And the 432U, we do have to be a slightly bit careful because he does have pretty decent DPM and camo, but he is out in the open, so stonks, we can hit him. And you can see our cope cages actually worked. They bounced off the 430U's heat. And we also bounced 150B shot, which was shooting APCR. But as you can see, that shot went straight through the gun mantlet. We will see the armor in just a couple of seconds. Moving further a little bit, we're gonna try pushing the object 432U because I want to get the kill and finish the game. And yeah, he has very good camo, so he outspots us. But it is what it is. We have to watch out for the 50B, and we now know where the Sheridan is. So now, I want you to pay a little bit of attention to how the gun is behaving. We are now looking where the Sheridan roughly is. It's over there. We are fully aimed, 800 alpha shot, it misses. Well, that is a disappointment in it. But again, now we have 400 alpha. We are all the way to 400 alpha. The second number is now counting down. Look at it. At 2 seconds, it pulls in, showcases you the better accuracy, and we get the blind shot kill on the Sheridan. What a beauty, I would say. And with that, wonderful time to have a look at the armor of this vehicle. Armor, more or less, is the biggest gripe many players have. They are saying it has worse armor than the E4. And they are partially actually right. So let's have a look, shall we? This is the Gorilla against the T803's AP round, and you can see the lower plate, oh yeah, it's a 100% chance, you have the cupola, it's fairly easy, and the cheeks, depending where you're hitting, they can be penetrated fairly easily or fairly non-easily. If you now go to the heat, the lower plate is still very easy to penetrate because the distance ain't that big and the armor is very weak. But look at that, the upper plate. Holy, 1.2% chance of penetrating. Goddamn. Yes, you can penetrate the gun mantlet. That is what the 430U did, by the way. He basically hit here, and you can see that is more or less an 80 to 90% chance of penetrating. This is also still penetrable. This as well. This, not really. So as soon as the enemy has heat rounds, he has to be very precise of hitting your gun mantlet or your cupola. Otherwise, the heat basically does nothing. And you might actually be better off with AP and APCR. So how does it look against a tank which has APCR? Now we are taking Imbattable. AP, same picture as before. APCR, however, we go from a 1.4% chance to an 80 to 90% chance of penetrating before. And you can see it becomes way easier to penetrate this tank frontally. That is a little bit unfortunate, isn't it? And that makes it very difficult for your average player, I guess, to understand, because I think now is a really good time to compare the Gorilla to the E4. So, this is the E4, and this over there is the Gorilla, and both are being shot up by the E4's gun. You can see AP M11 E4, and here, if I move my face away, AP M11 E4. It's the same shot. If I go like this, you can even see T110 E4. So, right now you can see lower plate is still easily penetrable, upper plate 60 to 50% chance, over here it's pretty easy, gun mantlet not really with AP, and the cupola is easy, same here. Cupola is easy, this is easy, the gun mantlet depending where you're hitting is very easy to penetrate, lower plate is easy, upper plate ain't it chief, many spots which are fairly hard to penetrate. So, this is why probably a lot of people already say, but the E4 has better armor. And that is correct in that regard. If you now go to APCR, the picture is even worse. 100%, 99 to 96%, 99%, 97%, 99%, 100%. While on the E4, nothing really changed. Yes, sure, this is also 100, 100, 100. That ain't it. This is not. Well, here it is. And even if you hit the middle of the gun mantlet, you have a 50% chance. Only over here it becomes very thick. Here, I don't know, you have these thick parts over here and this which can bounce. And the upper plate, it ain't 100, chief. It is quite a lot bouncier. And that is why a lot of people are saying, boah, man, Gorilla has worse armor than the E4. And that is correct in that use case scenario. However, in the previous game on, was it Safe Haven, you saw how I was side scraping, right? Well, let's move this tank to the side. Let's move this tank to the side. Did you notice something? There's still have APCR, by the way. I didn't change anything. Yes, we have this weak spot here. You need to try and hide this. So if you go like this, you might be able to hide it. Now with obviously APCR, it's very, very hard. You also have a smaller weak spot than the Raptor. I just want to point that out when you're side scraping. But you can't hide this. This is a 44mm plate, meaning that even the E100 can auto-pen that with AP. The PTZ auto-pens that with AP. The E4, E3, Gorilla just slaps through there without any issue. I'm actually not entirely sure if what other tanks could on tier 11. 44 times 3, 132mm. I don't think we have a tank in the game with 135mm on tier 11. Unless the SDK is, but I think it's a 128 gun. Let me know in the comment section below. But this right here more or less makes this tank quite a lot bouncier. And this is what I meant with you need to get used to how the Gorilla plays compared to the E4. Because it's like with the, it's not like, how should I say? It's not like with the can opener to the contriever or the concept to the executor. It's more like the Batcher to the AS40. They both are kind of similar-ish. Obviously with the AS40 it's much different, but they have distinct features which make them quite a bit different and you need to adapt to that. And this is one of these use cases because this is the 44mm plate all the way down there, while here it's all the way over here, which you can also ammo rack and burn the E4 with. Keep that in mind. So I would say let's conclude the E4 on tier 11, aka the Gorilla. I like the tank. I still believe it's a bit of a problematic tank at the moment because, my goodness gracious, all these 800 Alpha TDs are really me up big time in the games. Hence why if you want to watch me stream, you might see a little bit of rage sometimes because thanks to the DBVs as well. So it is incredible low skill floor. Again, camp corner, camp bush, bada bang, bada bang, 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 you do damage. However, if you know what you're doing, you can jump into 5k damage sessions. I was very close to do 5k damage, it was 4,900. Maybe I clickbait in the title, who knows. The thing is though, in a Raptor, I didn't even do 2.5. Yes, skill issue, but my god, the Raptor is bad. It just doesn't really work, in my opinion. Because the Gorilla, even though it has a little bit of a derpy gun, it still has almost 400mm of APCR penetration. Even if it's derpy, it doesn't matter. In many situations, it's just shing right through the enemy's armor, which a Raptor doesn't. And that leaves us with the Executor. And with the Executor, I wasn't the best. I didn't have really the good maps, I have to be honest. I also need to get a little bit used to it. I was a little bit out of it, but I had 2.7k TPG, which is bad, and I will definitely be able to do better with that. The Gorilla just slaps. It just slaps. Yes, it was with full upgrades, keep that in mind, so your experience will vary until you have granted out 325,000 XP, which is an insane load, thanks for gaming. But it is a pretty decent tank, and I would say from all the threes which are in the game, this is probably the most consistent one, while the Executor is the most fun one. And with that, you might say, you know what, all these tier 11s, they're annoying. What should I do? Well, don't fret for today's sponsor, Iniba. This is a key store where you can get cheap games safely, and this is also, for example, where I got Helldivers, an amazing game which I very often play with my friends. Off stream sadly, but I do play it a lot and it's boatloads of fun. And if you're thinking, yeah, I'm in the mood for getting a new game, well, check out the links down below. You are supporting the channel and that would be fantastic. And with that, don't forget to subscribe, and like and give me feedback if I should do this a little bit differently. I hope this time I showed you a little bit more clips. Should be very good at showcasing what the Harambe tank can do. My name is RagingRaptor and I see you in the next video. Cheers guys.